We've got Congressman Jim Jordan, who's the head of the Judiciary Committee, and I know you guys have been looking, a lot at these activist judges. Talk about the problem that it is and what we're doing about it.
Well, the fundamental problem is exactly what the president said. He put his name on the ballot. He got elected by we the people. He gets to make the calls as the guy who runs the executive branch, not some unelected federal district judge who somehow thinks they're equivalent to the president of the United States. So that's, the left always wants the unelected to make the calls, the Faucis and the Boasbergs. They want them making the judgments and the decisions, not the people who put their name on the ballot, but that's not how our system works.
When does the Supreme Court jump in and do something about these district judges that think that they have power over the whole country?
No, great question. I do think some of these cases are going to get to the Supreme Court in a pretty quick manner, pretty quick time frame. And Justice Roberts put out a statement a month or so ago about, the proper course of action is, if you don't like the decision of a district judge, is to, use the appellate courts. And I get all that, but I think his statement just sort of underscores the focus that's now on this issue.
Of all the people to be deciding what constitutes good law, Jim Jordan should be the last on that list. And you'd think he'd be reluctant to talk about wrestling, too.
Some of our colleagues want to impeach him. Look, some of our colleagues, they've got "For Wanted" signs in the Cannon House office building with the names and faces of judges on them. They want to impeach them now. They want to impeach Judge Boasberg. Some of my colleagues should be alerted to this fact. Judge Boasberg was first named to the bench by President Bush. He was Justice Kavanaugh's roommate at Yale. Known in legal quarters as a very conservative judge, but they want to impeach him because he stood up for the rule of law. Now, Democrats say all of these executive orders and actions are being struck down not because these are radical left rogue judges, but because the judges, regardless of who appointed them, are doing their jobs. If the number of decisions striking down Trump illegality is unprecedented today, it's only because the sheer number of illegal acts committed in the first 100 days is unprecedented. America's never seen anything like it before in our entire history. Trump and Musk have been systematically violating the Constitution and breaking the law to trample the rights of the people and steal our data, fire excellent federal workers en masse, and dismantle congressionally created government agencies and programs, from the VA and Medicaid to NOAA, NIH, and Social Security, which Elon Musk called, quote, the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. When brave Americans go to court to defend themselves against the president of the United States and the richest man in the world, these judges from across the political spectrum are showing up to work, and they're showing America why we have an independent judiciary. And yes, I've got to tell my friend Chairman Jordan that even if you campaign on doing something unconstitutional, like naming people kings and queens, or stealing other people's money, no, that doesn't make it constitutional, even if you campaigned on it. And the vast majority of the things here, I never heard of them campaigning on. But in any event, it's irrelevant to the job of the courts. Anyone who's read any of the decision knows that what we're witnessing today is a matchless constitutional crime spree by a rogue president and his Doge enforcer, a government contractor who has pocketed $38 billion from the taxpayers, multiples more than he has ever even claimed to have saved us.
You were with the president this weekend at the NCAA Wrestling Championship.
Fun time.
He seemed to be having a grand old time. He really enjoyed himself, didn't he?
Yeah, but particularly that last match. I mean, I don't think that Wyatt Hendrickson, the athlete from Oklahoma State, in that heavyweight match, I don't think he wins that match but for President Trump being there.
It's also wild that Jim Jordan still talks about wrestling after, the main thing that everybody knows about his past.
Participated with Jimmy and other wrestlers in the locker room talk about Strauss. We all did. It was very common knowledge in the locker room that if you went to Dr. Strauss for anything, you would have to pull down your pants. It goes on to say that you had said something like, if they tried to do that for a thumb injury, I would kill him.
Not true. Did not say it.
All right, but let me ask you, Congressman, you've got these guys that are now on the record. Somebody reading this from outside, what do you say to them? What is driving these guys to say this now?
Yeah, you'd have to ask them.
Jim Jordan called me crying. crying, groveling on the 4th of July, begging me to go against my brother. Begging me. Crying for a half hour. That's the kind of cover-ups that's going on there. Jim Jordan called me several times after that. That week, I had to have my lawyer call him, tell him to stop calling me. I had a teammate, George Pardos, I called and told him, call Jim Jordan and tell him to quit calling me or I'm going to beat his ass. He's throwing us under the bus, all of us. He's a coward. He's a coward. He's not a leader. He's a coward. I'm a leader. I was captain of these guys. That's why I'm here. I would never abandon my team. He abandoned us. Our head coach abandoned us. He's flipped his story. He called other people to flip their story. He called Mark Coleman to flip his story. He called his parents, 90 years old.
If the Republican Party had any shred of shame or decency, they clearly wouldn't have made Jim Jordan chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. I mean, this is a guy who's notoriously accused of turning a blind eye to allegations of sexual abuse against a team doctor back when Jim Jordan was assistant coach at Ohio State University. He also famously dodged a subpoena from the January 6th committee and is now arguing that Donald Trump should have the powers of a king. And now Jim Jordan is on something of a subpoena spree. He recently sent a subpoena to Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, requesting all communications between the company and the executive branch, as well as internal company communications, hoping to find evidence that conservative voices have been silenced in some big Biden administration conspiracy. This is at a time when people are literally having their phones searched at the border for the mere possibility that they might have expressed some sort of anti-Trump sentiment on social media, and you have students who are being threatened with expulsion and deportation for engaging in pro-Palestinian speech. Also, hundreds of words have been scrubbed from federal websites. We have that word police that Republicans warned us about for so long, and tech companies are already starting to capitulate. It feels like it's only a matter of time before there is mass censorship of any content that smells like dissent. YouTube is a great place to learn about what's going on, for now. But we need to look to existing grassroots networks to find reliable and resilient pockets of resistance. It's never been more important to talk to the people around you, like literally around you. And if you're able to get involved directly. Relying on billionaires, whether they own social media companies or tech startups or media outlets, is not a sustainable or reliable option. We really need to rely on and support each other. If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?